Are you thinking about your website? Maybe you need a new website. Maybe you need a remodel. Maybe you need a total brand overhaul. Or maybe you're just at the beginning where you are trying to decide how do you get started on creating a website. That's what I'm going to talk about today. And I'm going to share lots from my journey of creating a brand new website over the last year. And I can't wait to share lots of wisdom and strategies and tips and tricks that I have for you. All right, so welcome to today's episode. I am Laura West. I am your host, obviously, of this show, Joyful Business TV. I'm also the CEO of the Center for Joyful Business at joyfulbusiness.com. For over 20 years, I've been a creative mindset and business success coach. And I share that with you because I always like to know, like, who am I learning from? What is their background? What have they been doing? How have they kind of earned the right to have that credibility to talk to me? So for over 20 years, I have been helping conscious, creative, sensitive, what I call soulful, and highly ambitious entrepreneurs who want to share their soul work with the world in a bigger way while they're making great money doing this really meaningful, deep work. And they want to do it in a way that is not about soul-crushing strategies and tons of hustle, but really comes, it's really aligned with who you are, and it comes from the inside out. So I hope you'll find this show as this oasis of sanity and creativity in this world of marketing shoulds, and that you'll find it as a refreshing approach to growing your business. I also want to share with you that I want you to know that I deeply believe that you are already designed to flourish, right? You have everything you need inside of yourself to flourish, to be successful, to grow abundantly. But we just need to release the possibilities, right? And remove any of the obstacles that are getting in the way. So that's my approach. That's how we'll be approaching the conversation about websites today. But first, I do want to let you know that if you're here live, here's how it's going to work. We're going to have 30 minutes where I'm going to share about our topic today. And then I'm going to turn off the recording and I'm going to open it up to you so that you can, we can have conversations together. We can talk about websites, your situation. We can talk about anything that's on your mind about growing and creating your own joyful business. All right, so today, let's get going because this is a really juicy topic and I've got a lot to share. I'm going to talk about the outer, steps to creating a website, and then I'm also going to wrap up with talking about the inner work of what's really required to create a website that you love to share, you're excited and proud to share. So I recently launched a brand new website. In the last couple of months. My website that I had before was 12 years old, and I had websites before that, but the last one I've been working with was 12 years old. Technology has changed a lot. I did a really good job of hiding it, keeping it active and updated. Some people would go to my website and be like, I love your website. It wasn't the website they loved, they just loved that there was energy and current information there. But I really had a bit of website shame. Can you relate to that? Website shame, where either your graphics or the layout of the website, which is what I had, was just old, it was old style. Or maybe you have website shame, like your pictures are just totally out of date and it's, you look really, really different. Or what happens a lot is that your message has evolved way past where your website was. That happens a lot because most of the people that I know who are conscious entrepreneurs, they love to learn, they love to grow. So you're always growing past your website as soon as you publish your website. So one of the things that is so great about websites is that you can always update them and give them a little lift so that they can at least stay somewhat current with where you're at now. So if you want to check out my website to get an idea of what I've been working on over the it's really been a good year, you can go to joyfulbusiness.com and you'll understand when you see some things that I'm talking about today, you'll understand my journey. So no matter where you are today on your website journey, I just want you to know if you do go to my website, you don't necessarily need a giant website like that. It just depends on where you're at. You might be at the beginning where you're just creating your first website. You might just need a web page, right? Or you might have been using your LinkedIn profile or Facebook business page as your website, and now you're ready to create that new website. Or maybe you're in the I need to renovate, right? You need to renovate just like you would a house, like this bathroom's outdated, the kitchen needs updated. That happens to our websites. There's certain pieces that need to be updated, renovated. Or you might be ready to go to the next level in your business and you need a website that's going to really reflect this next level of branding and presence that you want to have, so that people really get who you are. All right. So let's talk about some things. I'm going to just go through some different pieces that I think will be really helpful. So first of all, when you start with wherever you are, new, renovating, deluxe version of a website, you really want to stop and pause and really get clear, like, what is your goal for your website? And it might seem like, well, I want people to be able to find me and know about me, but a website does so much more, right? Because there's a way that people can come to your website, find out about you, and then they're like, okay, and then they move on. And that's what happens a lot. So you want to get really clear. How do you want people to engage with your website? Because you want them to come to your website to know about you, but you also might want your website to build your credibility, right? To really be able to showcase your expertise in a way that feels really authentic to you. You also want your website to engage in some way. And we're going to talk about different calls to action and ways that you can get people to engage. So again, you want to get really clear. You know, for me, I was moving to this next level of expansion. And so I wanted the website to reflect that. But I also really wanted my website to communicate an experience. And when people come to my website, they immediately and all through the website get this experience that is warm, honest, authentic, creative. It sparks their inspiration, their imagination, and they feel like they're invited into this experience. And so I wanted to communicate. That's my brand. That's what it's like when you're in a program or you work with me. And I wanted that to be communicated on the website. And again, we're going to talk a little more about how I did that. The next thing, you want to get really clear on who is your soul tribe. And I did a whole episode about your soul tribe. And then specifically, who is that best client ever? Okay. And it may not be the people that you're currently working with. It might be somebody, your best client ever might be somebody who's yet to come. And so you want to make sure that you're talking to the right people, that are going to engage the right people. You're not going to be able to talk to everybody. You don't want to talk to everybody, because when you do that, you become too generic. And when you try to talk to everybody, you actually attract nobody. So that's how it works every time. So you want to get super clear. Now, you may have 1, 2, or 3 types of people who are going to come to your website. That happens a lot with, for me, I have certain things for beginners. I have certain things for seasoned entrepreneurs who've been in business 2 or more years. And then I have things that are going to talk to what I call legacy clients who have been in business probably for 10, 15 years. They are expert coaches, experts at what they do, but now they want to up-level their marketing game in a way that feels really good. So I talked to 3 different people. That's probably the most that you can do. And I highly encourage you to get really clear about as much as you can about the qualities and what they're looking for and the problems, and then the solutions that you offer. And that's where a really good coach can come in. So as you can see, there's some pre-work that you need to do, right? You don't just hire somebody for a website and start. If they're a really good website designer, they will help lead you through that process. But lots of times your coach can help you through that process. So the next thing you want to do is you want to collect your branding assets. All right, that's a big fancy word, branding assets. But it's like, what do you already have that you can use? Do you have a logo that you love and feels current and up to date? What is your what is your business name? Are you using your name? Are you using another name like Joyful Business? There's no one right answer. I always coach a lot of my clients around that. It depends on what your needs are, but and then you want to look at your logo, your brand colors, that you might pull from your logo, or colors that really work for you. I like to pick brand colors that are a combination of colors that are going to land with my clients. So I'm not going to use something, if I use a dark blue that's more IBM-ish, right? Or more corporate looking, that's incongruent with joyful business, right? So I want the brand to be communicated, but at the same time, I don't want joyful business to be, here's 50 million different colors and all the creativity doesn't have any structure. Joyful business has creativity plus structure, and a warmth to it. I also like to pick branding colors that look good on me, right? This is a little behind the scenes secret. Have branding colors that look good on your body. So I've worked for years, I worked with a lot of different image consultants as clients. And so I was able to, I did a lot with my colors, with fashion feng shui. If you don't know about that, go check that out. And so to me, my colors and my brand also are colors, certain like magentas and pinks and oranges that really look good, and teal tends to look good on everybody. Those are things that you want to pick out so that when you put your photos on the pages, they match, right? It's in alignment, it's congruent. Speaking of photos, that's one of the other things, is that you must have at least one photo, at least one, on your website. Now, you don't have to go into as much photos as I did. I did a whole, I didn't just do a bio photo. I did a whole branding photo shoot. And so I'm going to share with you how to do that and how to do that successfully in a few minutes. But people nowadays, especially the type of business that you have, if you're here, you're heart-based, you're soul-based, you are creating a conscious business. And with a conscious business, there's a relationship. The relationship is the most important thing. So people want to see you, right? Heart to heart, kind of face to face, even if it's virtual. And they will work with you based on that relationship where they feel like they know, like, and trust you. And part of that is communicated through your photos. And it's okay to have sometimes you want to mix of photos. So we're going to talk about that too when I get to photos. Incredibly important, because people aren't going to hire you when it's this faceless, nameless person, or they only have a name, Bob, they don't know who Bob is, and they want to know who's behind that, or Joanne, they want to know who is behind that. Okay, so website design, some of the ways to get started, no matter where you're at with your website, brand new, renovate, or up-leveling. You want to notice what websites you like. So you can do this before you ever hire a website designer. I'm always keeping a list. I keep it in Evernote. That's where I keep all my researchy things I want to reference. It's a great place to keep ideas for graphics and things like that. When you work with a website designer, they're probably going to ask you, okay, send me some websites that communicate, that you like, and why do you like them, right? It's important to know why you like them, because sometimes a website might just have colors you like, but you don't like the format. Or maybe they have an interesting treatment and you like the way they do something. And so, I did a lot of that and had to get really clear, like, what is it specifically that I like? What is it that I don't like? And it's good to have websites that you're like, nope, don't like that. I don't want to be like that person. Nothing against that person, but more about the website, right? And so as far as websites, I want to say this too, is that if you're just beginning, there are things that you can do where you can get away with doing your own website. Even as good as all these different websites are, where you can do it yourself, the vast majority I have seen, they look like they're homemade. So, unless you really dig this, like it's really your genius work, I would get somebody else to do your website. Plus, unless it's your genius work, you're going to go down a rabbit hole of creation and it's going to get frustrating. And then you're going to end up taking 6 months to a year to create your website, or even longer for some people, just because you're getting stuck on things that somebody could do really quick. So to me, having somebody do your website can be a really good investment. I've never done my own website. But when I first started, in all fairness, there was all this coding, and so it wasn't as easy as it is now. So you can do it, but I would say, I probably have one client who does a pretty good job of getting photos and looking at things. But even still, I think it's hard to objectively look at your website when you're also creating it. It's hard to be in it and do all of that. So I'm huge on that, hiring somebody. What I will also say is that when you start looking for a website designer, make sure you absolutely get referrals and recommendations, that you look at their portfolio, you talk to the person, do you like interacting with them, and then take the time to talk to referrals and people who have used them, and make sure you're clear about what did they do on that website that's in their portfolio. Because sometimes a website designer, they might just set up the back end and they haven't actually created the design. Sometimes they created the design but didn't do the back end. Sometimes they helped pick out colors, and some are just like, no, give it all to me. So you really have to get clear and discern and distinguish what are the pieces that web designer actually will help you with. So some of them do all of it. Some of them really will only just set up the back end. So you want to get clear about that. Website designers, now really good website designers whose full-time business is designing a website, they are your people, right? That's who you really want to look at. What you don't want, I'm very skeptical. I haven't heard a lot of success stories about, your sister's son, the nephew, doing, he can do your website on the side of, going to college or school and stuff like that. Starts out with this great conversation and then they're too busy. And then you can't get them to make the changes and updates and keep it going. So I'm always a little skeptical of that. I haven't heard a lot of success stories with that. So it can be really worth it to get some help. So for my website, I worked with the amazing Allison Chandler at allisonchandler.net. I love her approach. When we first started out, we did some pre-work around archetypes, and it was just amazing. I love archetypes. So we identified my key archetypes that helped me. By knowing the archetypes, then we could create the website that communicated in that way. And so I'm an alchemist magician. That's my top one, with a lot of innocence archetype, which is all about positivity and optimism, believing the best in people. And then we have a little bit of rebel thrown in, and that was something that we had to work through. And it was like, something's missing here. And it was the little bit of rebel that I tend to throw in because I don't do it like everybody else. I don't do business coaching like everybody else. And that needed to be communicated, but yet I'm not a rebel. I don't lead with rebel, right? So I lead with alchemist magician. So really helpful to go through those archetypes to help create the experience, because that's what I was really wanting to create, was that experience. Allison is a high-end designer. Obviously what she created for me was pretty extensive. That may be way more than you need. I also have another website designer. She did my previous website, which again, I still got compliments on 12 years later. I love Amy Mader, and you can check her out at designformare at designformare.com. That's design, FORMARE.com. So another big piece about creating your website is the copywriting, right? What are the words that are on the page? So here's the down and dirty thing is that you are going to have to write most of the copy or be highly, highly involved. So with my website, it included copywriting, and I had already worked with this woman before, so I knew that we could communicate. You have to really interview your copywriter if you're going to hire a copywriter, because they have to, not only do they have to know website communication, which there are certain formats and ways that you want to do things shorter and not write everything under the sun and put that on your website, but they also have to be able to get your voice. And for me, I have a huge lexicon. Joyful Business has its own vocabulary book. And so my clients talk about it all the time. We talk about joy flow sightings. We talk about flowmentum. We talk about energy, your personal energy system, your creative power centers. Somebody has to be able to understand your approach and also your way of speaking. Now, some websites are going to be more corporate, business to business, corporate wise. And so that might be a little bit easier for them to do. Mine, I have a very conversational tone in my website, and yet I still wanted it to be up leveled that, it's just not me, sitting there talking. Um, and so you really want to look at, how have they gone through that process? How do they get your voice? We had to spend quite a bit of time narrowing down what was really important to be on the website. And I had 22 years of all this information and products and programs and ideas and copy, and it's a lot. And so we worked together to really get clear about what needs to be represented on the website for now. And then also to make sure that we could synthesize it and make it shorter and make it, quick to get to the point, which is something that's harder for me to do, like quick to get to the point. And then it needs to be in your voice. And so you want to be really clear about how that works. How many rewrites do you get, and how much feedback can you give, and things like that. So I worked with Betty Emery for this at Be Right, WRITE, BeWriteCommunications.com. And I will say that was the hardest part, that we started with copywriting, writing the copy for the website. We had the general layout and we knew what we were going to include and not. I did that with my website designer. Then I went and worked with my copywriter, and not so much the website designer. And it was the hardest part, right? To get clear, to let go of things, to listen to her approach and, why we want to write the homepage a certain way. But she was great. She did lots of interviews to help me get super clear about that, about who the website's for, what problems do I solve, what do we include, not include, and then how to write it in a way that felt like it was coming from me. So I highly recommend her. There's lots of other copywriters, and you can, when you see, again, just like you do websites, when you see somebody who's a good copywriter, you can save their information. Now you can also write your own website, and that's where it's really helpful to study other people's websites. You can take a class about writing a website, but again, are you going down a path where you're going to spend 20 or 50 hours creating the copy, learning how to write copy for a website, when you could be doing your work, right? You could be doing marketing, you could be doing your work, and you could just work with somebody who's a website design or a copywriter. All right, the next part, photos. As I said earlier, photos are a must-have. At least one photo. You've got to have a photo on your website so people know who you are. It's part of how you get people engaged in your website. It builds trust. People want a relationship with real people, especially if they're hiring you to train, mentor, you're going to be leading them. They need to feel like they're connected to you. So there's bio photos. You can get photos taken that are more in a studio, and they're more bio photos. And then there's kind of some casual photos that you might have of you in action. And then there's branding photos, right? Where you're going to the next level. You're going to want some branding photos. Now, you want to make sure it's real branding, right? That was really important to me, is to be really authentic with my branding. I didn't want to be like shipping champagne on a yacht. That doesn't work for my audience. My audience is, they're home with their kids, they've got parents who, they're taken care of, they're going on travel adventures, but it may not be on a yacht, right? Not saying they don't do yachts, but I'm just saying in general, that's not it. So, and even, I'll talk about this more, just a second. So part of my goal of what I wanted to communicate on my website was I wanted to communicate the creativity, the warmth, the energy exchange that happens, the trust that happens when people come into my community. And part of that can get communicated through photos. And so I found this amazing photographer that I absolutely love, Katya. And she's at AtlantaBrandingPhotographer.com. And she was recommended to me as I was asking around about photographers. And she really gets energy. And I'm all about energy. And energy is one of the first things I talk to my clients about. And so I looked at her portfolio. We had conversations. I got referrals of people who had worked with her. And she had a studio in this outdoor area, because I wanted both. But what I did was I drove from Atlanta with a carload of props, like my stuff, my computer, my phone, my books, card decks, markers, even my own tea mug. Um, then I went to like a home goods place and I bought plants and I bought cool decorations to put on the walls so that she had this really great white office. But that's not my style. I'm not that clean contemporary white office person. So I was able to use that and make it more warm and colorful and things like that. Then I went and returned the plants and the props. So people asked if I was a house designer. So I wanted to share that because there's a lot of ways you can use the photo shoot. Yeah, you may not have as many photos. I have a lot of photos of me on my website, but it just worked out that we were, again, creating a whole branding experience with that. So you wanted to, like I was just working with a client and he got some shots and, he's speaking in front of an audience and he wanted it to be more casual. He wanted to be in jeans and a nice button-up shirt, collared shirt. There's just a lot of different ways. So you want to kind of get clear, like how do you want to communicate? And there were photos that I wanted of me journaling. There were photos I wanted of me talking to a client. So you kind of see the back of a client's head. There were photos of me, sitting at my desk, look like I'm talking on the phone. There was a wide variety of photos. All right. So back to the website. One of the things, gosh, I can't believe how the time goes so fast. One of the things I want to share with you is you want to think about the design of your website and what do you want on each page. There's a way that you go through the navigation. A good website designer will take you through what are the pages that you're going to create. You typically might have 3 to 5 pages to start with. But then you want to look at, like, every page needs a call to action or a CTA. And is it going to be sign up for your free gift? Maybe schedule a call with you or a consultation with you. It might be to download your speaker sheet on your speaker page. It could be to buy an introductory product, for a lower price. So those are some really common call to actions, but you want to make sure that on every page when they read it, doesn't matter if they're reading your bio page, if they're reading your bio page, invite them into scheduling a call with you. All right, real quick, I want to share, because this is so hugely important, is that when you are creating a website where you're really up-leveling your message, you also need to make sure you have support to do the inner work. I was super clear what I wanted my website to be. I have been looking at this for a number of years, but it was still, I had to create and hold this image of my future self who has this amazing website she's proud of. I was really clear. I didn't want a website that reflected where I've been, but a website for where I'm going. Okay, a website for where I'm going. What is the future you that you are stepping into? So if you have that vision of your successful business, you want to create the website for that. And you know what? That takes a lot of confidence and conviction to be able to put that out there. So therefore, it takes a lot of courage and huge vulnerability to really step in. So when my website was done, getting close to being done, I was super excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then for a few days, I fell into this doubt vortex, just questioning. And, who am I? Am I too big for my britches? Look at all those photos of yourself. Oh my God, how are you putting all those photos out? Who do you think you are? That's where you need your coaches, you need your fan club. You don't send it to people that are going to be critical. You got to share it with trusted friends, trusted clients to get feedback and encouragement to make sure that you are really in alignment. And then once I did that, I was like, yes, I'm totally in alignment. And oh my gosh, yes, this is what I want. Then I really, again, I had that image of my future self, and I really let my future self speak in sharing my website. And I let my future self speak to me, reminding me of my beautiful brilliance, and also being really compassionate and kind with some kick-ass love, right? Okay, so again, we're going to wrap up for today. I'm super excited. I hope you will go over and check out my website to see what all I'm talking about today. You could go over to joyfulbusiness.com. And while you're there, you want to take advantage of my free gift. So I have this really great free gift that is called Activate Your Abundance and Co-Create with the Universe. It's a great toolkit where you have a 7-day journal where you're co-creating with the universe, and then this beautiful, cool, inspirational meditation, visualization about getting into alignment with the universal abundance current. It's one of my clients' favorite. So I hope you enjoyed this today and that you will come back for more in a future episode. I'm sure I will continue to be talking about websites. All right, good luck with yours, and come on over to Joyful Business and check it out. Thanks. Thank you for watching this episode of Joyful Business TV. I want to invite you to get more creative strategies and support for growing your business. You can start right now by activating your abundance mindset with a really powerful creative visualization that will help you get into the universal abundance current, one of my favorite things to do. And you'll also get a companion 7-day journal that will help you create a daily habit of co-creating with the universe. These are 2 powerful resources that you can get started right now to help grow your business and activate that abundant mindset. You just go over to activateabundancegift.com.